In the early 1990s, Meg Ryan sat at the very center of the cultural zeitgeist. She was the queen of rom-coms, a charismatic, bubbly presence whose girl-next-door image made her one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood history. Simultaneously, Michael Bolton dominated the radio airwaves. With a string of high-powered ballads, he became the decade's definitive blue-eyed soul titan and the primary voice of romantic pop. Their paths crossed at a strange cultural nexus point, a shared title that marked the absolute summit for both careers, When a Man Loves a Woman. Bolton reached his commercial apex with a 1991 cover of the song, which spent weeks atop the charts and earned him a Grammy Award for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. Just 3 years later, Meg Ryan headlined a hit dramatic film of the exact same name, proving her star power extended well beyond the light-hearted comedies that made her famous. These back-to-back successes cemented their reputations with the global public, but that same massive popularity created a lucrative cycle that encouraged the industry to keep them fixed in these specific, increasingly narrow archetypes. The financial pressure to remain within those roles was immense. Ryan commanded $15 million per film, while Bolton navigated 14 consecutive top 10 hits. Maintaining this success meant protecting their personas at all costs. Any attempt to evolve was a direct threat to the bottom line. Reaching the very peak of the entertainment industry often transforms a star's greatest asset into a restrictive creative boundary, leaving them tethered to the very image that generated their success. Despite their global reputations as wholesome romantic leads, neither artist's career began in the world of soft-focus ballads or meet-cutes. Ryan originally studied journalism, taking soap opera roles simply to pay for her education. Her early career choices showed a clear desire for range, including the active rejection of violent material like The Silence of the Lambs. Bolton spent years as a gritty hard rock frontman, leading a band called Blackjack and opening for heavy metal acts like Ozzy Osbourne. His signature gravelly voice was forged in an era of distorted guitars and high-energy stage performances. Their 90s personas were carefully constructed peaks, creating an artificial distance between their public image and their true creative instincts. By the late 90s, the constraints of these personas became unsustainable. Audiences expected more of the same, while the stars themselves pushed for change. Bolton faced significant pushback as his formula was increasingly criticized as derivative. This tension resulted in a grueling 15-year legal battle over his track Love is a Wonderful Thing, which eventually cost him $4.2 million in a settlement with the Isley Brothers. Ryan similarly attempted to dismantle the America's Sweetheart label. She sought out roles that challenged the public's perception of her, most notably in Jane Campion's erotic thriller In the Cut. The response was a swift and public rejection. Her departure from the girl-next-door archetype led to a reputation-damaging interview on the British talk show Parkinson, which many saw as a turning point in her relationship with the media. As musical trends shifted away from adult contemporary, Bolton was increasingly categorized as a relic of a previous era, with his once serious ballads becoming common punchlines. The 90s audience often demanded its stars remain frozen in time, reacting with hostility to any attempt at genuine artistic evolution. Following the collapse of their original industry roles, both stars began to pursue a level of independence that the 90s studio system never allowed. Bolton chose to fully lean into the absurdity of his own image. He began collaborating with younger comedians, demonstrating a high degree of self-awareness regarding his earnest 90s persona. This approach culminated in a viral collaboration with The Lonely Island, subverting his romantic image with ridiculous cinematic costumes, most famously dressing as a pirate captain. Ryan took a more private path, effectively removing herself from the Hollywood machine for years at a time. These hiatuses allowed her to step away from the industry's narrow expectations of her age and image. She eventually returned as a director, taking full control of the camera for projects like Ithaca and What Happens Later. This transition gave her the ability to define the tone and content of her work on her own terms. Through Bolton's comedic embrace and Ryan's move to the director's chair, both stars managed to regain the creative autonomy that their 90s success had stripped away. Their current eras are marked by a trade-off. They may no longer see $15 million paydays or chart-topping dominance, but they have secured a form of creative survival. A pop culture legacy is measured by a star's ability to successfully dismantle their own archetype and exist within the industry on their own terms.